Hello everyone, welcome to pre-crash course on competitive exams held by VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM in association with Manifest IAS. This program is inspired by Dr. SWAMY and it is convened by Sri RAVISHANKAR sir, State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. So I am the Chief Mentor of your program. I will be handling various topics, various subjects. So you can watch the program online on the YouTube channel of VIRAT HINDUSTAN SANGHAM and also on the YouTube channel of UDAYA News Karnataka. So it's absolutely free of cost. So further, if you have any need for free guidance and also need for doubts clearing, mentorship, anything, you can join our Telegram channel VHS space education space forum. Type in Telegram VHS Education Forum and you can join our Telegram channel for free mentoring. So we are done with polity and history and now we are doing the economy, Indian economy, right? So what to expect out of these classes? So this classes has utility for both freshers, medium range aspirants and also senior aspirants. All of them can make utility, good utility of these classes. So here is the Telegram channel link. You can join it for free mentoring. So the source for your Indian economy is Srirangam. I have been mentioning again and again. You buy this book, all your economy part will get covered. So we are done with stock market. So today we have to look into the concept of inflation. Concepts, facts and policy. What is the concept of inflation? What does it mean? What are the facts about inflation? And also, what policy does the government follow in order to rein in inflation or to tame inflation? See, when it comes to inflation, it is neither good nor bad. See, excess inflation is bad. Excess inflation is bad. Inflation means what? Price rise. So every year, in the month of November, December, your onion, all these prices will skyrocket. 1 kg onion will become 100 rupees. Tomato prices will go up, right? So this is the concept of inflation. That is price rise across various products and also services. Okay. So as I said, certain amount of inflation is good for the economy. Madhyam mark, Buddha's Madhyam mark, that is inflation in a middle path. So it should be neither too high nor too low. It should be somewhere in between. Why? We will discuss that. So for introduction of this concept, you just understand that inflation means price rise across goods and services. This is the concept of inflation. What are the bad effects of inflation? Bad effects. High inflation will lead to unaffordability. Unaffordability means poor people cannot afford the products. They cannot buy basic necessities. They cannot buy the basic food requirements, right? Onion 100 rupees per kg, tomato 100 rupees per kg. Obviously, the poor will suffer, right? So, one is unaffordability. Next, it leads to macroeconomic instability. Instability means if the inflation rises too much, then the value of money will depreciate. Value of money depreciate earlier. Suppose when the onion was 50 rupees. So 50 rupees was able to fetch 1 kg of onion. Now it requires double the amount to get 1 kg of onion, right? So the value of currency has depreciated. Value of currency has depreciated. And also there are various other things, various bad effects. So there will be, people will start protesting. People will start protesting when the food prices go high, fuel prices go high, all these things. People will start protesting. Okay. So these are some of the bad effects of inflation. That is why every government fears inflation. Every government fears inflation. That is why when the petrol prices went up to 110, 115, government reduced the taxes because governments fear inflation, because people will protest against the government if there is a price rise. Then, so what does the government aims for? Every government aims for growth with price stability. Government wants growth, no doubt. Government wants growth. But in the process of the growth, economy will overeat. Overeat andre too much growth. Too much growth is happening. So along with growth aagta idre enagutte? Products manufacturing jasti agutte. Products manufacturing jasti agutte, and people's buying capacity will increase. There are so many positive effects. When the people's buying capacity increase, what they do? They try to buy every product that is available. So obviously, price will increase when the demand for goods increases, goods and services, and it leads to inflation. It leads to inflation. Economy. Inflation in the economy. So government wants price growth with price stability. Price stability. Government wants growth. No doubt about it. Right? Growth has so many positive effects. I discussed it on the concept of growth and development. But there should be price stability. Growth agutte anta inflation ge if we give way, inflation gari madkotre, it will lead to lot of problems. So growth should be there, but also at the same time price stability should be there. This is what every government will aim for. So what are the types of inflation? Inflation and its types. What are the types of inflation? First concept is creeping inflation. Creeping inflation. Creeping inflation andre, so it is a good inflation. 4%, approximately 4% inflation idre andre, this year the product price is 100 rupees, next year it will be 104. 4% inflation, up to 4% inflation is good for the economy. It is called creeping inflation. It will lead to price stability. It will lead to price stability. Yeah. Creeping inflation will lead to price stability. So it is considered good for the economy, and 4% inflation rate acts deterrent to deflation. It acts deterrent to deflation. What is deterrent to deflation? Deflation andre eno? Price kusdogodu. Price will decrease. So when the price decreases, actually it is bad for the economy. You might think when the prices decrease, it is good because you can afford more and more goods. But it will affect the manufacturers, manufacturer of products. Their profit will reduce. Their profit will reduce. So price decrease in price is actually not good. Deflation is actually worse than inflation. So I'll discuss how it is worse. So it will lead to creeping inflation idre, it acts as a deterrent to deflation. So 4% inflation is good. That is why our monetary policy committee, headed by governor, RBI governor, it aims at 4% inflation, plus or minus 2%. So this is the inflation that the monetary policy committee aims for. So this is good for the economy. 4% inflation is good for the economy, and it leads to profits for the producers. ಇವಾಗ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ 104 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ it will lead to increased profit, right, for the producer. So it will make him, it will give him confidence, or it will inspire him to produce more and more goods, more and more quality goods, to order to increase the profits. So profits rise agutte and it leads to a positive spiral. Growth will also increase. So this is the concept of creeping inflation. Next we have trotting inflation. Creeping inflation next barodu trotting inflation. Trotting inflation is something above creeping inflation. Around 6 to 8% of inflation is called as trotting inflation. It is based on the inflation rate. Next we have the concept of galloping inflation. Galloping inflation. What is galloping inflation? 8 to 10%. Inflation 8 to 10% ittu andre then it is called galloping. Galloping, what do you mean by galloping? Andre kudre keniyuttalla mundina ಎರಡು ಕಾಲನ ಎತ್ತಿ, that is called galloping. So the inflation is rising, that is called 8 to 10%. Galloping inflation, right? Next, after galloping inflation you have runaway inflation. Runaway inflation as ran away. In the meaning, it means it is too high. Too high. Inflation is too high. Next, after this you have hyperinflation. After runaway inflation, even then the prices increase. After the galloping, I mean runaway inflation, then it is called hyperinflation. Hyperinflation, fifth type of inflation. So hyperinflation andre prices of the money, I mean prices of the products is out of control. There is no control on the prices of the products. 20 to 30% rise in the prices. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ನೀವು 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿನ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಅಪ್ ಟು 130 rupees. Yes, this is what? Hyperinflation, out of control inflation. This is very bad for the economy. All inflation except creeping inflation is bad, right? So this is a fifth type of inflation. And ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಹೈಪರ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಷನ್? ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಗ್ತದೆ? See, in the time of war there will be hyperinflation. And also when there is deficit financing. What is deficit financing? I told you. Government 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, 97 rupees ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ RBI ಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ RBI ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ too much money in the economy, too much money chasing too less goods. It will lead to hyperinflation, 20 to 30%. ಈ 2 ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ hyperinflation ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಮೀರಿ ಆರನೇದಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಕೊಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್, ವರ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಕೊಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮನಿ ಲೂಸಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ. ಮನಿ ದುಡ್ಡಿಗೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನೇ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಇವತ್ತು 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು 1 kg ಈರುಳ್ಳಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ 10 rupees for 1 kg of onion, under monetary collapse, even if you pay 10,000 rupees, nobody will give you onion, right? ದುಡ್ಡಿಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ, it will just become as good as a paper, right? That is the concept of monetary collapse. Money loses its value, right? Okay. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, when money loses its value, people will start exchanging. ಇದು actually ಜರ್ಮನಿಲಿ ಆಗಿತ್ತು after First World War. Even after First World War and both, after First World War. Money lost its value. To buy 1 pound of bread, people used to carry 1 ಎತ್ತಿನ ಗಾಡಿ ತುಂಬಾ ದುಡ್ಡು ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋರು 1 pound ಬ್ರೆಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ. So money lost its value. 1 pound bread, lakhs of rupees, right? So ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, people will lose confidence in the currency. They will resort to barter system. You know what is barter? Instead of currency, we will trade. You give me 1 kg salt, I will give you 1 kg sugar. Instead of depending on money. Illa andre, there is one more thing. People depend on foreign currency. Foreign currency melli trading shuru ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. Foreign currency value ಇದೆ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. They start the exchange in foreign currency, right? Okay. Next, you have the concept of deflation. Deflation andre ಏನು? Growth is decrease in price. Yes, you are right. Decrease in price is called deflation. So deflation ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Growth of the economy is below zero. Growth will lead to below zero. See, growth ge always there is a need for inflation. Why? I will tell you. 4% inflation is good anta ಹೇಳಿದೆ. 4% inflation. Today 100 rupees product, next year 104 rupees. 4 rupees extra idagutte andre the producer will get profit. When he gets profit, he will expand the production raise ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Production raise ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ employment raise ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Employment raise ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ people's buying capacity will increase. Buying capacity, they are going to spend a lot in the economy. When they spend, the demand for other goods will also increase. Yeah. So when the demand increases, overall the economy grows. The economy overall it grows, right? So this is why inflation, 4% creeping inflation is good. Whereas deflation alli enagutte? Deflation alli this year the product is 100 rupees. Next year it is 96 rupees or 96 rupees. This will, he will go into losses. Yeah, he will cut down the production. Employment decreases. Swalpa janan kelsadinda tagdaktane. Because production decreases, there is no need for employees. Employment decreases. Their production capacity, their buying capacity decreases. There is less demand for goods. So growth decelerates. Economy doesn't grow. This is the relationship between inflation and growth and deflation and growth. So deflation is when the growth decreases below zero. There is a persistent fall in prices. This is the concept of deflation. Next you have disinflation. Disinflation go deflation go end difference. See, deflation means fall in the prices of the goods. Fall in the price of goods. Disinflation andre, it is there is inflation. There is inflation. Some earlier, let's say 4 to 6% is the inflation. Yeah, 4 to 6%. Disinflation, disinflation, there is inflation, but this number will reduce. 4% is inflation, 3% agutte, 3% is 2% agutte, aa reeti. So the decrease in the inflation rate. There is inflation, but there is a decrease in the rate. That is disinflation. Next, you have the concept of stagflation. Stagflation andre inflation, it is stagnation plus inflation. Stagnation plus inflation. Stagnation andre no, the economy doesn't grow. Stagnant. Today the GDP is 100 rupees, next year also it will be 100 rupees, the next to next year is also 100 rupees. There is stagnation in the economy. Neither there is increase in the demand, or neither there is increase in growth, nor there is decrease in growth. Stagnation iddu plus inflation idre. Yes, stagnation in the economy, growth is not rising, inflation is rising, growth is not rising. That peculiar, it is a vichitra. Yakandre inflation rise aitu andre growth should automatically rise, but inflation is rising, there is stagnation in the economy, economy is not growing, then it is called stagflation. Stagflation, right? So illi when this condition happens andre, when there is inflation, stagflation agbekare, there should be two conditions. One, there is inflation, plus there is unemployment. Inflation ide, price rise ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, but products na buy ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ people ಹತ್ರ capacity ಇಲ್ಲ. Unemployment. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ inflation is rising, when the people doesn't buy the goods, the growth will not grow. This is called stagflation. Unemployment plus rising inflation is called stagflation. So ಹೀಗಿದ್ದಾಗ growth slows down. Growth either stagnant or it goes on slowing. 6% ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು growth 4%, 4% ಇಂದ 2% ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. Stagnant. Yeah? Okay. Along with that we have reflation, the concept of reflation. What is reflation? Andre, there is deflation in the economy or stagflation in the economy. Deflation or stagflation is there. So in the condition only the growth is not there. Yeah. The government wants the growth. The government wants the growth. So growth na revive madbekare government will do pump priming. Pump priming. Pump priming andre government is to supply more money in the economy via spending in social sector or decreasing the rate of interest. Government will pump money into the economy. When the money gets into the economy, the demand for goods, people kayalli ದುಡ್ಡು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, the demand will increase. When the demand increases, growth will rise. So this is the concept of reflation. Growth, biddogiro growth na ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಪ್ಸೋದು is called reflation. Reflating the economy. Yeah, this is the concept of reflation. Next, open inflation. Open inflation andrenu, see, last year there was an increase in petrol prices, inflation. So it went up to 115 rupees, yes, per liter of petrol. So up to 100 rupees go, 115 go ganta, till then the government did not intervene. It left the inflation to itself. Government did not stop. Yes. So then that type of inflation is called open inflation. The inflation is open. Yes. So whereas government, that is not good. That is not good because it will hurt the common people. Avaga government, what does it do? It is going to give subsidy. Idral en madru, they reduce the taxes. But generally earlier and all, when petrol prices were being managed by the economy, I mean managed by the government. So avaga government used to give subsidy. Administered price mechanism anta ittu, APM. Government used to administer the prices of petrol and diesel, APM alli. So avaga government used to give subsidy. When they give subsidy, that type of inflation is called suppressed inflation. Inflation is there, government has suppressed it via subsidy. That is suppressed inflation, right? Next we have headline inflation. The concept of headline inflation. All these concepts are very, very important. Direct questions. Suppressed inflation, I mean headline inflation andre, you just take this word headline, means it is heading the inflation. It is the head of the inflation. So price rise in all the products and services across, not only onion, not only petrol, in all the products, total price rise ಎಷ್ಟಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಎಕಾನಮಿಲಿ. That is headline inflation across all the products and services. If the price rises, that is called as headline inflation. Yes. Okay. Next, core or underlying inflation. Core inflation or underlying inflation. Yes. See, generally inflation is temporary. Onion prices will go high in some December or something. Yeah, it will come down. January products alla rabi crops alla barutte. January rabi crops harvesting agutte. Yeah, not sorry, kharif crops gets harvested. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅರೌಂಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದೇ ಸೋ ಇನ್ ಜೂನ್ ಜುಲೈ, ಸೊ ದೇ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೋ ಜನವರಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆದಾಗ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಡೌನ್, right? So this is temporary inflation, temporary. Whereas underlying inflation, core inflation, the long term inflation, over the years, how the inflation is rising over the years. So if you see the price of petrol 20 years back and today, it has risen. So the overall rise is called what? Core inflation or underlying inflation. It is a long-term inflation. Long-term inflation. Yes. See, core inflation only core products are taken. Core products. I will discuss what is core. I have told you what is a core sector. 8 sectors. Yes. Core sectors. Steel, petroleum, coal, cement, all these things. Fertilizer, all these things. Natural gas. Yes. Okay. So core inflation alli certain products are excluded. Certain products are excluded in the core inflation. What are the products? Food items are excluded. See, food items do yavag bidutte yavag elutte gottilla. It goes, sometimes the price of tomato will become, sometimes it will be 100 rupees per kg. Sometimes it will be 1 rupee per kg. Farmers will throw it in the roads. So food hege rise or increase agutte, we never know. So core inflation, we will remove the food products. Food products is not counted in the core inflation. Yes. Okay. Next, measures of inflation. How inflation? So all these types, whatever I discussed, starting from creeping inflation up to core inflation, all these types of inflation are very, very important. Yes. Next, you have measures of inflation. I am telling my inflation and deflation, so many things. But how to measure this? Yes. How to measure this inflation? One is GDP deflator. GDP deflator. See, GDP is calculated based on a base year. Yes. Base year. Base year, certain product is, let's say, 500 rupees. From base year, today the product is 600 rupees. So the product has inflated. Inflated. Yeah, I told you. Nominal GDP, real GDP. So this is nominal GDP. Andre at current prices. Current prices, the GDP is calculated, it is nominal GDP, this is constant prices. So idinna, this 100 rupees is, if we remove the 100 rupees, it will give the prices at constant price, GDP in real terms. So GDP deflator is one measurement. If you calculate the GDP between real and nominal, how the GDP has deflated. If we inflated, if we deflate it using a deflator. Deflator andre, it just means how much it has increased, we are going to deflate it. That deflator is called, is one measure. GDP deflator is one measure. So GDP deflator what we are going to see andre, across all the final goods and services. Final goods and services alli ಎಷ್ಟು price rise ಆಗಿದೆ? All final goods and services, what is the rise in prices? That is what we are going to calculate in GDP deflator. Estittu, what was it and how much it has risen? This deflation is called GDP deflator. Across all final goods and services, what is the price change? That is the GDP deflator. Yes. Next, we will, the other thing is cost of living index. Cost of living index. See, GDP deflator, we are seeing all product goods and services. Whereas cost of living index, certain goods and services, not everything. Certain food, healthcare, education. A basket idna a basket of goods and services andre. Basket andre you carry limited things. Basket ali. A basket of goods and services, if we measure the inflation, it will give us some basket. What is the basket? The measuring organization will decide. So that is cost of living index. So it measures the affordability. E basket aliro products can the poor people afford or the lower middle class afford? Yes. So this cost of living index measures the affordability of products. Can the people afford the products? Yes. Okay. Next you have the producer price index. Producer price index. See, what is producer price and what is wholesale price? Producer price andre, at what price the producer of a product is selling the goods. Suppose a person is growing sugarcane, or is growing cotton. At what price that producer is selling that product? So that is producer price, whereas wholesale price, you know, wholesale dealer at what prices he is going to sell the product. Illi from producer to wholesale hogbekandre enen add agutte? Taxes will get added, ivrdu profit will get added, margin, transportation cost will get added, storage cost will get added. So there is a difference between producer price and wholesale price. Middlemen our prices will get added. Everything gets added, come to wholesale price index. So producer price, it is what the producers receive for a product. What the producers receive for a product is called producer price index. Yes. So there are two types of producer price indexes. Two types. One is output producer price index. Next is input price producer price index. What is output andre? He is outputting the goods and services. He is giving the output of goods and services. At what price he is giving the output of goods and services? That is output PPI, producer price index. Input andre, to manufacture that product or service, he has to invest on costs. He has to give some input. He has to pay for the employees. He has to procure raw materials. He has to pay the rent, electricity, all these things. So what is the input he is giving? How much cost he is spending on the input of the product? That is input producer price index. These are the, so there are two types of producer price index, output PPI and input PPI. So producer price index na actually measurement kottidu committee is B.N. Golder committee. B.N. Golder committee gave the concept of producer price index. Okay. Next we have B.N. Golder, B.N. G-O-L-D-A-R. Next we have the concept of wholesale price index. Wholesale price index. What is wholesale price index? Sale of goods in bulk. Sale of goods in bulk is called wholesale price. Wholesaler, you know what is a wholesale dealer? Sale of goods in bulk. So you also know retailer. Wholesale in the Tandi Marone retailer. Small shops, all those guys. Okay. So how does it differ from PPI? And I have already told. Producer price index, okay, if you add the transportation cost, logistic cost, logistic andre eno? A product na pack mado ಚೀಲ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, ಅದನ್ನ ಎತ್ತಾಕೋ ಕೂಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದಾಗಿರಬಹುದು ಸಂಬಳ. Everything will get added. Logistics cost, storage cost, margin. Producer what margin is going to give, take. Rather than producer, wholesaler ಏನ್ margin ಇಡ್ತಾನೆ producer price ಮೇಲೆ. Everything will get added to wholesale price index. Next, you have consumer price index. Consumer price index. What is consumer price index andre? What the consumer pays. What is the consumer is going to pay for the product is called consumer price index. Navenu price kotti tagotivi, that is consumer price index. Next, causes of inflation. Causes of inflation. See, first you have demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. What is demand pull inflation? See, there is an increase in, suppose by somehow. So here there are buyers, now buyers. Here there are sellers. Buyers, sellers. Due to some reason, suppose we get some money, high money, we are going to, the demand is going to increase. Demand is going to increase. But the supply remains the same. Too much money chasing too less goods. So the price will rise. Price will rise. Correct? So that is demand pull inflation. Increase in demand leading to inflation is called demand pull inflation. Yes? Okay. So, ಯಾವಾಗ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ demand pull inflation? When there is growth. Growth ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ people's purchasing power will increase, so that then there will be demand pull inflation. And also monetary easing. Monetary easing andre interest rate reduce ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. When the government reduces the interest rate, monetary easing, too much money will be in the market, then also demand pull inflation will be there. Then also foreign inflows. Foreign country ಇಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬಂದ್ರೆ remittances ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ, the person who goes to foreign country, NRIs, they send lot of money, there is increase in the money in the market. So foreign inflows ಬಂದಾಗ also the demand pull inflation will rise. Yeah? Okay. Next you have cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. See, a producer will have lot of costs, I told you. One is rent, raw material, electricity, so many things. Land, labor and capital. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೈಸ್, ರೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, raw material price increases, then the cost will increase, input cost will increase. Definitely he has to raise the price alva, he cannot give it at low price because he will go into losses. That is called cost push inflation. Cost push inflation. Yes? Okay. Then you have the structural inflation. This concept is important actually. Structural inflation andre, there are so many structural problems. Eno? The agricultural sector is backward. Agricultural sector is backward. Our agricultural sector, there is no technology. Lands are fragmented. Technology use ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ agriculturally? No, very less. And you have land size is less. Land size is less. Then there is old traditional cultivation method. There is rise in prices of prices of inputs, fertilizers, seeds, all those things. So the agriculture, because of all these reasons, agricultural sector has not become modern. It is traditional. So that is structural, that contributes to structural. There is some deficiency in the structure of the economy. Agriculture is one sector. So structurally there is some deficiency. That is, agricultural sector is one example of structural inflation. Then storage. We don't have good storage facilities. Food Corporation of India, FCI, yeah, which procures the products at MSP, minimum support price alli. It has excess food grains. Excess food grains. Food Corporation of India has excess food grains. More than 1 million ton or around 150 million ton, I think. In millions of tons. You can assume it is in millions of tons of excess grains, food grains. All that are going into rotting. Rotting andre hula tindu, ili tindu, koltogi, the products are getting wasted. So that is also a structural. Lack of storage facility is also a structural inflation. Yes? Okay. Not only that, technology. We are not using any technology in agriculture. The use of technology in agriculture is very less. That is also a structural inflation. Along with that, infrastructure. There is no proper infrastructure. Storage is one infrastructure. Transport is one infrastructure. Proper marketplace in one infrastructure. So all these things, there are no proper marketplace, proper transportation, everything. So all these things contribute to structural inflation, right? So you can use this example of agricultural sector. Next, why there is a rise in prices? Causes of inflation. Causes of inflation eno? One is speculation. What do you mean by speculation? The producers or the buyers speculate saying that, see, onion, they believe today it is 90 rupees, they will speculate or guess that tomorrow it will be 100 rupees. So let us, instead of selling it today, we will sell tomorrow. We will sell tomorrow anteli store ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. So when there is store ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ there is less supply, obviously the price will increase alla when there is less supply. So speculation is one reason for inflation, and also the second reason is hoarding. Hoarding andre what I told, price rise ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ storage ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡೋದು, or deliberately to increase the price they will hoard. Daily price na increase ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾನೆ they are not going to supply the products into the economy deliberately. It is illegal actually. That is hoarding. Next, cartelization. Cartelization andre, you see this example of this mobile industry. I mean this telecom industry. Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, all these things. See, everybody will decide the price. That 3 months pack we will give it 666 rupees. So, there is no other competition. Only these three players are there. Three players are there in telecom. These three people will decide among themselves. They will go hand in hand and decide the prices. This is called cartel. Since there is no other competitor, whatever the competitors are there, they are going to decide the prices together. They will become a cartel and they are going to increase the price. That is one thing. So you can see the example of Jio, Vodafone, all these things. It has increased in past 1 year. So everybody, they act like a cartel. Obru mutual understanding iride. Orgade they fight, but there will be mutual understanding. They will increase the price. This is cartel. Cartelization. Yes. And also, so the cartelization actually it is illegal. See, these people are making understanding among themselves and increasing the prices. But who is the sufferer? Common people, consumers are the sufferers. So, there is Competition Commission of India. Competition Commission of India is there. It is going to ensure there is proper competition. There is no cartelization anta the consumer or the Competition Commission of India is going to ensure. They are going to impose penalties on these companies if they find cartelization. Yes. Okay. Next, holding. Next, imported inflation. See, if there is the best example for this is oil products. Oil products prices increases, we are going to import that price. Oil products price Gulf will increase aitu andre it will increase here also. This is imported inflation. Imported inflation. Yes. High inflation hurts. How does high inflation hurt the economy? Hege? Poor people will suffer because of inflation. Fixed income people will suffer. You are getting 50,000 rupees salary per month, but you are getting fixed salary. No increase, no decrease. But the products prices will rise. Isn't it disadvantageous to you? Earlier for some product you are giving 10,000 rupees, now you have to give 15,000 rupees, your savings will decrease. Yes. So fixed income people will reduce, then it will impact the export. There will be no export. How there is no export andre? There is price rise. When the price increases, definitely the exporters or the other countries, will they be interested in high price products? No. So it will lead to less exports, right? In that way it is going to hurt. And also inflation jasti adre, growth will also come down. I told you. Growth will rise with inflation, but when the inflation is at some nominal level, but it breaches some of the threshold. On the boundary na breach madre, then growth will also decelerate. Atti adre amrutanu visha andange. Inflation rises too much, it will decelerate the growth. Yes. Okay. So these are another things. Then also it acts as a inflation tax. See, I told you 10,000, 15,000 is 15,000 you have to invest on a product. Earlier you were investing 10,000, now 15,000. Let us say rent. Isn't it an excess tax? This acts like a tax, alva. Price rise. So this is called inflation tax. Inflation tax. Okay. Along with that, there is fiscal deficit will increase. Fiscal deficit. Andre, government resources will reduce. So, government the excess spending. So, excess spending, the fiscal deficit 97, government gets 100 rupees it is going to spend andre. Next, government gets only 95 rupees. And it has to spend some 105 rupees. Because products prices jasti adre, people will protest. So government has to subsidize. So fiscal deficit will increase. Fiscal deficit will increase. Yes. Okay. So this is the concept of how inflation hurts. Next, how deflation hurts. Deflation hege hurt agutte economy ge. Yes. Deflation, demand will reduce. Demand will reduce. I have told you. Deflationally. See, initially, products price kadme adaga demand will increase. Initially, obviously. But over a period of time, when demand will reduce or deflation happens, the producer will cut the production. There will be loss of employment. There is no money. Demand will come down. Yes. Demand reduces. It will lead to unemployment. Deflation will lead to unemployment. Yes. So, what does deflation gain the government? It is going to do pump priming. I have already discussed what is pump priming. Yes. So, pump priming, it is a part of Keynesian economy. I have discussed what is Keynesian economy. Government is going to spend in order to increase the money supply. That is Keynesian economics. Then, deflation idaga, government is going to reduce the taxes. tax cuts madutte. Why? The tax is cut. Earlier you were suppose paying 10 rupees tax. Now you have to pay 5 rupees tax. You are left with excess 5 rupees, right? This you are going to invest in the economy. Demand will rise. Tax cut will be done by the government. Then government will increase the spending as per Keynesian economics. This is how the government tackles the deflation. Deflation na hege, this is how they tackle. So government idaitu deflation ge. What does the RBI does when there is deflation? What does the RBI do? Yeah, RBI lessens the interest rate, repo rate, kadme madutte. When repo rate decreases, there is too much excess money supply in the economy, so it will increase the demand. Yeah, so the RBI monetary measure is lessening the interest rate and also printing more currency. Deflation id madbekare now COVID time alli deflation. RBI will print more currency and release it into the economy, so there will be excess money supply. That is how deflation is tackled by the monetary measure. Yeah. Next, price stability and optimal inflation. I told you optimal inflation is always good. It will lead to price stability. That is why government aims at growth with price stability. So what is price optimal inflation? Monetary policy framework agreement anta agutte. Monetary policy framework agreement in 2015. This agreement between government and RBI. So according to that, they have set the inflation rate, optimal inflation rate. It has been set according to this agreement. What is the optimal inflation rate? 4% plus or minus 2% threshold. RBI has to aim at 4% inflation. It is the responsibility of the RBI or the Monetary Policy Committee to put a target and ensure that the target is achieved for inflation. Yes, inflation. So optimal inflation, this is the thing. Next, price stability. I have told about price stability. See, there is low prices. Low prices idre consumers ge initially benefit agutte. Producers will go into loss. That is one thing. High price ittu andre it will initially lead to advantage for producers but loss for consumers. So both of these things, low price, high price, they have their own disadvantages and advantages for both consumers and producers. Yes. Okay. Next, I have spoken about Monetary Policy Framework Agreement 2015 alagate, according to which they set the inflation price. Yes. Next, GDP, potential GDP and inflation. What is GDP, potential GDP and inflation? So it means potential GDP andre GDP, you know. Potential GDP andre how much, what is the potential of the economy? I have discussed already potential GDP. Today the GDP is 140 lakh crore. Istena nam capacity? No. If we remove all the negatives in the economy, what is the highest GDP we can achieve? That is potential GDP. You all have potential, but you will spend time on various useless things, Facebook and all. So if we remove all these negatives from your life, you will reach the highest potential, that is your highest capacity. Similarly, if we remove all the negatives, what is the GDP highest it can go? That is potential GDP. Yes? Okay. So inflation alone, high inflation remove madre, GDP will reach the potential GDP, but there has to be nominal inflation, some 4%. Yes. Next, you have inflation and corruption. How inflation influences the corruption? See, inflation jasti adaga, the black money will increase. there will be huge black money, because demand will increase and also prices will increase. So black money in turn increases. Inflation alli there is a increase in black money. How black money andre, I'll tell you. You have 100 rupees salary. You are paying 10 rupees tax. The price will, you are expending 50 rupees on the goods and services which you want, and 40 rupees you are saving. So saving you don't want to compromise. This 50 rupees will increase to 60 rupees, inflation in the. So you don't want to cut your savings. So what you will cut? You will cut the tax. Tax pay madala. Direct tax. So it will lead to black money. It will lead to untaxed money, that is black money. Inflation will lead to black money. That is one thing. Then inflation in the hoarding, illegal storage of products, creating artificial scarcity. That is also a type of corruption. Yes. And also commodity cartelization, inflation in the cartelization agute. I told you what is a cartel. So together they increase the price, commodity price na manipulate ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. That is also a sort of corruption. Yes. And also this leads to tax evasion. I told you, tax evasion. So how inflation leads to corruption? This is how it does lead to corruption. Next, inflation targeting. How do we target the inflation? So one is the target madadenike to maintain price stability. So when the concept of inflation comes, you should know the term price stability. Yes. So to maintain the price stability, inflation targeting is done. So monetary policy framework agreement prakara we are going to do it. So this was an amendment, and also RBI Act 1934 was amended. RBI Act 1934 was amended to target the inflation. Inflation target madre, what are the advantages? What are the advantages of targeting the inflation andre? So one is transparency. It increases transparency in the economy. It leads to accountability, and it leads to proper inflation expectations. You might be confused how targeting the inflation will lead to transparency and accountability. Inflation and target ಮಾಡಿ 4% andre. Now earlier there was no target of inflation. Now they have set the target as per MPFA 2015. So there is transparency that we are setting the inflation at 4% of the clear cut agi everybody knows. So there is transparency in the monetary policy. Then apart from transparency, there is accountability. If the inflation exceeds, who is accountable? RBI, MPC is accountable to reduce the inflation. Monetary Policy Committee. And also inflation expectations. Because of this targeting, inflation target madadrinda proper expectations irutte people mind alli that inflation ishte irutte. It is not going to cross. Okay, it is going to satisfy the people's expectations. Next, inflation indices. What are the indices via which inflation is measured? So wholesale price index. Wholesale price index is one thing via which inflation is indexed. So this is measured at wholesale level. Wholesale price index is measured at wholesale level. Yeah. So this is advantage one more advantage of wholesale price index andre, before retail spillover andre wholesale alli price is increasing. First price rise agade wholesale alli. ಈ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಲ್ಸೇಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್. Government will get the signal immediately. It will take some measures and prevent the spillover on retail sector. Prevent spillover on retail sector. Prevent spillover ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಲ್ಸೇಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ರಿಟೇಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬಾರದು. ಬಿಫೋರ್ that government is going to intervene. So that is the advantage of the wholesale price index. Along with that, wholesale price index acts as a deflator. I told you what is a deflator. Price today is 100 rupees, next year it is 104 rupees. 4 rupees is the deflator. Wholesale price index acts as a deflator to know the actual GDP. Actual GDP is to real GDP ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ wholesale price index will act as an indicator. Okay, then it is going to deflate the industrial index production. It is going to, there is one index called IIP, Industrial Production Index. Yes, so this wholesale price index is going to deflate it. See, when there is inflation, this index will go up. Wholesale price index na we can use it to bring back the IIP to real level, base year level. WPI can be used as a deflator with respect to IIP, Industrial Production Index, Index of Industrial Production, IIP. Then who releases the wholesale price index? Which organization? It is the economic advisor to Ministry of Commerce. Economic advisor of Ministry of Commerce gives the wholesale price index. So what does this wholesale price index measure? It measures the primary goods, fuel and power, and also manufactured goods. Three things it is measuring. Primary goods ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Food and all those things, food and other articles will come under primary goods. Then fuel, power, all these things will come under secondary goods, that it is going to measure. And also manufactured goods, textiles, paper industry, all these things, all these three sectors, the wholesale price index is going to measure. These three index, the wholesale price index is going to measure. That is the concept of WPI, wholesale price index. So this wholesale price index is given for all India. It is given for the entire India, not any one or two country. It is given for whole India, and it depends on seasonality. Seasonality andre enu? During some particular season, the price of a product is high. During other season, it will be low. This is the concept of seasonality. Seasonality of products. So WPI depends on seasonality. So WPI there is a revised series, new wholesale price index 2017. We have introduced a new wholesale price index in 2017. Yes? Okay. What is the changes in the new wholesale price index? Enen change ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ in the new wholesale price index? One is base year has been changed. 2004-5 ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ base year, we have raised the base year to 2011-12. Base year has been changed. Then commodities have been changed. Commodities andre 2005 ಅಲ್ಲಿ what were the products? Now the products have changed, new products have come. So wholesale price index, it is also measured on a basket of goods. Earlier some products were there, those products were taken out of the basket and new products are introduced in the basket. Commodities have changed in the new wholesale price index. These are the two changes. So who gives this new wholesale price index? Yaru prakara, yav committee prakara andre it is Soumitra Chatterjee Chaudhary. Soumitra Chaudhary committee gives the new wholesale price index. Yes. So wholesale price index ali do we measure the services? See, this concept is very, very important. Wholesale price index only measure the goods. Wholesale price index never measures the services. So there is no services, but new wholesale price index ali number of items in the basket, goods have been increased. Number of goods has been raised. Okay. What are the some other changes in new wholesale price index? Andre, one is services is not there. Next, there is no indirect taxes. Taxes are not introduced. Taxes are not included in the wholesale price index. Wholesale price index to measures the price of the product without taxes, indirect taxes. I have told you what is indirect tax, what is direct tax. Yes. Okay. Next, this new wholesale price index idiyala, this is closer to PPI, producer price index. It is close. New wholesale price index is closer to producer price index, and it has a one more provision. Its index is dependent on tech review committee, technology review committee antide. Adru prakara it is going to set the prices. If it sets the prices, wholesale price index price set adre, it will be reviewed by technical review committee. Technical review committee whether it is right anta. Then WPI there is a WPI food index also. WPI food index is also there. Yeah. Amele wholesale price index earlier was measured for iga tomato price idre. Earlier the tomato price was only available for 6 months or 8 months. Now wholesale price index according to the new WPI is available whole year. Full year ge wholesale price index is available. So these are the changes we have with respect to new wholesale price index. Next, we have the concept of consumer price index. Consumer price index. Yes. Okay. What is consumer price index? So consumer price index ali one, see illi wholesale price index ali services include agala. Consumer price, what the price we consumers are going to give. The index which measures that price is called the consumer price index. Consumer price index, it includes both goods and services. Wholesale price index ali there is no services. Consumer price index includes both goods and services. Yes. Okay. And also this also measures point to point comparison. What is point to point basis comparison andre? See, this year you are measuring a price of a good in the month of July. This year you will measure it in July. This is 1 point. So the same point you have to measure in the last year also. Last year also same point you have to measure. Last July you have to measure. July and August in the compare madakagala. Price rise na. So this is also called the concept of seasonality. The same seasons we have to compare when you have to calculate the inflation. So this is point to point comparison used in consumer price index. Consumer price index allo, just like wholesale price index allo, it has a fixed basket of goods. What are these goods? What is the value? Not important. Just know it is also measured on a fixed basket of goods. Fixed basket of goods. Yeah. Then see, consumer price index, there is one speciality. Do you know the concept of dearness allowance? DA. Government employees get dearness allowance every year. Dearness andreno? Dearness means costly. The product is getting costly anta. Dearness, the word dearness means the product is getting dearer. Dearer andre closer antalla. It means it is getting costlier. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಗೆಟ್ every year dearness allowance. That dearness allowance is measured, is given based on consumer price index. Dearness allowance is linked to consumer price index. This concept is also very, very important. Okay. And also, andre wages, salaries, wages ella siguttalla. Salaries and wages are measured based on consumer price index. Whether consumer price index rise adre salaries and wages will also increase. And also, just like wholesale price index, this is also used as a deflator to deflate the economy out of inflation, to calculate the real GDP, to calculate the product's price at the constant level, that is base year level. So this is also used as a deflator. Consumer price index is also used as a deflator. Okay. See, there are various types of consumer price index. There is various price of consumer price index. What is the various types? We have industrial workers ge separate consumer price index ide. Consumer price index is measured for industrial workers, agricultural laborers. That is why they are going to have industrial workers andre CPI IW anta haktare bracket alli. IW andre industrial workers anta, agricultural laborers ge CPI AL anta haktare. Yeah. So agricultural laborers ge no, what is the agricultural laborers ge? What does the CPI measure? It majorly measures the food prices. Industrial workers ge the basket ಏನು difference ಅಂದ್ರೆ the basket of goods will be different. Agricultural laborers ge food is the main product. Industrial workers ge maybe something else, pension or something. Or uniform ಮೇಲೆ spend ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿರಬಹುದು, traveling ಮೇಲೆ spend ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿರಬಹುದು, all these things. Yes. Okay. Next we have consumer price index for rural laborers. Rural laborers ge separate ide, urban area ge separate ide, rural area ge separate ide, and also there is combined prices, rural area urban combined consumer price index kuda ide. That is called CPI combined, both rural and urban. So CPI is actually base year changes. CPI alli kuda base year na change madidare, just like WPI. Now the base year is 2012 or 2011-12 is the base year for CPI also, just like WPI. Yes, wholesale price index. New CPI series 2015, I told you the base year is 2011-2012 is the base year. Then earlier alli munche CPI series alli there were 5 categories of goods. What are these 5 categories? Not very important. Meat and egg, grains, food grains, fuel and power, all these things. So now there are 6 categories. According to new CPI series, there is 6th category. What is the 6th category? Andre pan, tobacco and intoxicants. I told you basket of goods. One more category has got added to the basket of goods. That category is pan, tobacco and intoxicants. Intoxicants andre alcohols, all those things. Next, CPI rural. CPI rural ಎಷ್ಟು villages measure ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? It measures 1181 villages. It measures 1181 villages. CPI urban. Urban measures some cities. Cities alli ಏನು prices ಇದೆ? CPI rural ಅಂದ್ರೆ rural ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು prices ಇದೆ? CPI urban ಅಂದ್ರೆ urban ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು prices ಇದೆ? Some cities, ಎಲ್ಲಾ city ಎಲ್ಲಾ village measure ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. Some cities and some villages they are going to measure. Which organization measures? CSO, Central Statistics Office, I have discussed, which has been merged into National Statistics Office now. See, CPI is given by CSO, whereas WPI is given by Economic Advisor to Ministry of Commerce. Yes. So next you have difference between WPI and CPI. Wholesale price index mate CS, consumer price index ke what is the difference? The basket of goods is different. What goods we are producing, the baskets are different. Next, you have basket of goods is different. Next, CPI ge the products are different. WPI ge the products are different. Basket of goods is different. Next, CPI alli food will play the most important part, whereas WPI alli food measure madala because it is temporary. Next, CPI alli services measure agutte. Consumer price index measures services also. WPI doesn't measure services. And also CPI alli middleman cost will also be included. Middlemen, madhyavartigalu, dallaligalu, avara price kuda include agirutte, our commission. WPI that is not included. And CPI various areas, rural, urban, agricultural, industrial workers, so many things. Whereas wholesale price index is for whole country. Whole country. Yes. And also WPI taxes include agala, CPI taxes gets included. And logistics and transport to storage, that will also get included in the CPI more. So these are the differences. What is the relevance of the two indices, WPI and CPI? I am shouting from that time. What is it relevant? How is it relevant? WPI, see, WPI is wholesale price index is helpful for industrialists. It is helpful for industrialists. Wholesale agi yen price ide anta industrialist is going to measure. CPI is useful for normal customers, buyers, now new. Yeah, that is the relevance. Matte CPI alli high level products are, WPI alli high level products, machinery and all are included. CPI alli those kind of products are not included. Yes, so these are the relevances. So ಬೇರೆ uses, relevance andre WPI CPI ಇದು ಏನು difference ಅಂತ. So inflation targeting, I told you no, that inflation is being targeted by the monetary policy committee. What inflation it is targeting? Is it targeting the CPI, WPI, CPI AL, CPI industrial workers? ಯಾವ exact index na target ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? So the index that is targeted by RBI or the monetary policy committee is CPI combined. CPI combined headline inflation is what the RBI targets. RBI targets CPI combined. Combined andre rural plus urban headline inflation. Headline andre which includes the all the products. That is what the RBI targets. Next, price indices for services. Services, see, WPI doesn't measure the services. CPI measures the services. But CPI, though it measures the services, not all products are included in the basket. So hagagi there is a demand that let there be a services index. Services index irli anta. Services price index irli anta. People are, I mean, the industry is demanding. See, I told you, services contributes 55% to the economy, right? 55% contribution. Yeah. So that is why services CPI is there, but CPI doesn't include everything. So the people are saying let there be a SPI, services price index. Yaar heladu? Which committee says services price index? Professor C.P. Chandrasekhar committee. Professor C.P. Chandrasekhar committee speaks about the services price index. Next, we have the food price indices. Food price indices. What is a food price index? So, how much price are we paying for the food? The index that measures is the food price index. So we have CFPI. CFPI CFPI is the index. This was given in 2014. What is CFPI full form? Consumer Food Price Index. Consumer Food Price Index. This was given in 2014. 2014. Idu CFPI, it measures rural enide food price, urban enide food price, combined enide food price. This CFPI is going to measure. Yeah. Along with that, we have FAO Food Price Index. FAO andreno? Food and Agricultural Organization, international organization. Its headquarters is in Rome, Italy. Yeah. So, alli this FAO International, this organization measures the food price indices. It is just going to measure 5 commodities. 5 major commodities na measure ಮಾಡಿ what is the food price anta this FAO International Organization decides. Next, we have the concept of Residex. Residex. What is Residex? We are measuring food here. Angene housing price na measure madre, it is Residex. Rent, lease, buying, all those things. Residential index is known as short-term Residex. Residential index. So residential index. Who measures this? National Housing Bank. National Housing Bank measures this Residex. Yavaginda measure ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? Since 2007. Since 2007, National Housing Bank is measuring the Residex. This National Housing Bank, it is a subsidiary organization of RBI. It is a subsidiary organization of RBI. So, what does it measure? Andre, movement of house prices. Movement of housing prices. What is the housing price in Bangalore? What is the housing price in Mumbai? Yeah. So, all these things are measured in housing price index. Yes. So, RBI. So, Residex na id madadu NHB. Housing price index na kodadu RBI. But NHB is a subsidiary organization of RBI. So, illu kuda base year change agide. The base year is 2012-13. 2012-13 is the base year based on which the housing prices are measured. Okay. Next, we will move to Collection of Statistics Act. Collection of, so housing price index. Housing price index, last one topic is left. I told you housing Residex is given by NHB. Housing price index is given by RBI. How many cities it is going to measure? 10 cities. Price of housing or rental in 10 cities RBI is going to measure. Next, you have Collection of Statistics Act 2018. What does it mean? Statistics andre numbers. Collecting the numbers in various things. Food price, CPI, WPI, housing price, so many things. Adana collect madadike, there is an organization. So, adike statutory status, legal status kodadu this act. Collection of Statistics Act 2008. So, idru prakara there are various classification. Yenu core statistics anta ide. Core statistics, core of core statistics and non-core statistics anta ide. Core statistics which is important. Core of core which is more important. Non-core not important. So CPI, WPI ella idral fit agutte. Yavadu core, yavadu not core, not important. So if the statistics, yavadara organization, if it is not giving the statistics properly, then there will be imposition of penalty. Somebody fudges, somebody manipulates the data. After this new NDA government came, there was a allegation that government is fudging the data, it is going to manipulating the data. Anta. There was an allegation. So, if there is a manipulation of data, penalty can be imposed according to Collection of Statistics Act. So, idrudu onde guri. What is the target? Accuracy of data. Accuracy of data is the target of this act. So next, we have the concept of growth inflation trade-off. See, it is a peculiar relationship. What is a peculiar relationship? Growth. To have some good growth, we need inflation. But inflation ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ growth ಬಿದೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Growth will reduce if inflation rises too much. But if there is no inflation at all, growth will again reduce. So to have an optimum growth, we need to have optimum inflation. There is a peculiar relationship between growth and inflation. So ಇದೆರಡನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ what is the trade-off? Trade-off ಅಂದ್ರೆ which one can we give away in order to protect what is needed? So ಈ trade-off ಅಲ್ಲಿ they say economy overeats. Inflation or growth ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ economy overeats. Overeat. ಅವಾಗ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ demand will reduce, growth increases, economy overeats, prices will rise. When economy is overeated, growth is overeated, prices will increase, inflation rises. When inflation rises, demand falls. When demand falls, growth will automatically fall. So this acts as an automatic stabilizer. Economy heat adaga automatic stable agutte. So this acts as an automatic stabilizer. So automatic stabilize agilla andre RBI is going to intervene. RBI madhyasthike vahisi, it is going to stabilize the prices so that growth is at an optimum level. Yeah, okay. So RBI intervenes and stabilizes the prices. So idanna Rangarajan, Dr. C. Rangarajan, former RBI governor, he has said growth is a marathon. Growth is a marathon. Marathon race nodidiralla, 10 kilometer running marathon. So growth is a marathon, whereas our growth alli madhya there will be overeating. Overeating are temporary pauses. 10 kilometer marathon ororu non-stop odtara. Middle they were going to take a break for water break or something. Yeah. So growth is a marathon. Overeating is like that temporary pause. Anta Dr. Rangarajan says. So what does the government steps to control inflation? Inflation anna control madlike what are the steps taken by the government? See, the first step is buffer stock. One is fiscal measures. Fiscal measures. So some extra measures I'll tell. Buffer stocks. Buffer stocks andre, see, the prices increases, products price, akki, rice price increases. So to reduce the price, government has excess stock. A stock na release mabidutte. So there is too much supply, the price will reduce. That is one strategy. And also there is a cabinet committee on prices. Prices either too much increase or too much decrease, cabinet committee is going to decide. So there is a cabinet committee on prices. Yes, I've discussed cabinet committee in the polity section. Okay. Next, you have fiscal measures. Fiscal andre government measures, overall measure. Fiscal year alli enen measure tagolutte government. Fiscal policy, yearly economic policy. Adralli, what are the measures to decrease the inflation? So one is duties will be reduced, taxes will be reduced, import duties. Import duties na reduce, petroleum mele import duties madidru, price fell. That is the good example. Then price ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ subsidy, government is going to give subsidy. That is one measure. Then government, one more thing, taxes will be reduced. Taxes reduce ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ money supply will increase. That is also one strategy. Next, administrative measures. What are the administrative measures to tackle inflation? Administrative measures ಏನೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? Export ban. Ban the exports. When you ban the exports, there will be too much product available in domestic market. So avaga prices is going to reduce. So mango there is too much demand in Europe. So Indians are not able to afford the mango. So what they do, they are going to ban the exports. So too much mangoes will be here. So the prices will fall. That is one thing. Then administrative measures, de-hoarding. Stock ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ holders. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈರುಳ್ಳಿ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಆನಿಯನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ನಾಸಿಕ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಸ್ಗಾಂವ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ಲಸ್ಗಾಂವ್. That is where all these major onion exporting region, supplying region. So alli traders had illegally stored the onion. Hoarding, illegally storage is called hoarding. So administratively we can de-hoard the illegal storage that is there. And also to reduce the inflation, what can we do? Inflation in medical products, medicines alli inflation ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ we can bring in Janoshadi like schemes to reduce the prices of medicines. That is administrative measures. Other measures are also there. Other measures ಏನು? APMC ಮಾಡೋದು, agricultural marketing committee, agricultural products marketing committee can be done. Then also zero duty. I told you in fiscal measure only taxes on the agri products can be reduced to zero. Yeah, that is one thing. Next, these two concepts are not very important, but recently it was in news due to budget. Thalionomics. Thalionomics andrenu? Have you heard of this concept called thali? Not Kannada thali. Thali, North Indian, means food plate is called thali. So can a poor person afford a vegetarian meal, vegetarian thali? That is the concept of thalionomics. So thalionomics, it is targeted for CPI industrial workers. It is targeting CPI industrial workers, consumer price index, industrial workers. It is targeting a veg thali na can a poor person afford. So now the affordability has increased. Yeah. So next, thalionomics, the affordability will increase when there is agricultural productivity also increases. When agricultural productivity also increases, affordability increases. Adhe riti dosanomics. Can the price of dosa is proper? So idin kodadu doctors Raghuram Rajan gives this concept of dosanomics. He says high growth irbeku, then price stability. High growth with price stability can be measured with dosanomics, by the price of a dosa anta heltare. So this is the concept. We should just know the basics of dosanomics and thalionomics. What it is, how it is measured, not very important. Yeah. Okay. So this is the concept of inflation. Entire inflation. This is what the questions are going to come. Okay. Next, we will move to the concept of taxation. So what is taxation? This is a concept since Mauryan age. Every kingdom, every state is going to impose some tax. What is this concept of taxation andre? Government imposing taxes in order to entice revenue for itself, for development activities, or to spend on social sector. Taxes, various tax ಏನಕ್ಕೆ impose ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? For various reasons. Government servants ಗೆ salary ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, infrastructure, roads ಎಲ್ಲ build ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, health ಮೇಲೆ spend ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, education ಮೇಲೆ spend ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, taxes will be done. Taxes will be imposed. Taxes done ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ taxes imposed, that is the right word. So there are two types of taxes. What are the two types? Direct tax and indirect tax. Yeah. So what are the direct tax? How are the direct tax? Income tax. Direct andre the tax which you are going to pay directly to the government is a direct tax. Income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax. Wealth tax is abolished madidare. When it was there, it was directly paid to the government. Indirect taxes. What are the indirect taxes? Service tax, customs duty, excise duty, all these are indirect taxes. Suppose you go and buy a Parle-G biscuit, are you directly paying the taxes to the government? No. It is indirectly there. So, on whom direct tax alli burden of tax, direct tax, indirect tax. Burden of tax, direct tax alli yaar mele beelutte? It falls on us who pay the tax. Idralli burden of tax, it falls on the whom? See, we are paying the taxes, but who is responsible? It is the manufacturer. Manufacturer who is going to pay the tax on our behalf. We are going to pay him, he is going to pay to the government. That is on whom the burden of tax falls on direct tax and indirect tax. This is very important. Yeah. Next. What is the importance of taxation for government, for economy and service and the society? I told you government has various expenditures. Yeah. Paying the salaries, paying for defense. So many things. For economy, what is the importance of taxation? To maintain equity. Rich people are getting rich. So to moderate, to bring in equity, we are going to take the money from rich and give it to poor. Tax redistribution, redistribution of economy. Economically tax role, this is what it is played. Societally, what is the role of tax andre? What is the role of tax andre? Societal infrastructure, health, education, old age pension, idella tax indane pay madakagodu. So this is the importance of taxation for these sectors. Yes? Okay. So, next, taxation in India. You know what is taxation in India? We have direct tax, indirect tax. Recently, the reform in taxation is the GST. So, now we are also aiming to bring in a direct tax code. Direct tax ke there is no code. Direct tax code anta we are trying to bring. Tax reforms in India need. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ನ ರಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? So taxes has to be reformed to increase the ease of doing business. Taxes excessive agidre businesses will fail. They are going to oppose. They go to that country where taxes are less. So taxes needs to be reformed in order to promote ease of doing business. That is the first reason. Next tax reason is, what can be the reforms that can be done is, I told you, taxes, only 1% of Indians pay taxes. Filing of taxes, jasti jana martare. Filing. Whereas those who pay the tax, it is already exactly 1%, approximately 1%. So, to increase the tax base, we are 130 crore Indians. Tax is paid by only 1.3 crore Indians. So tax base na jasti madbeku. Tax base andre the number of people who are paying the tax is called the tax base. That has to be increased. Yes. And also we have to decrease the customs and excise duty. Customs and excise duty jasti adre the price of the products will increase. So that we have to reduce. Then tax reforms. Corporate tax has to be reduced. Earlier the corporate tax was 30%. Now it has been reduced to 25%. So customs duty, I told you, excise duty, today it is merged under GST. Customs duty is there. Importing, that is there. Then GST is one tax reform. Yeah. Then you have transfer pricing. I'll tell you what is transfer pricing. Briefly, I will give you the introduction now itself. Transfer pricing andre enu anta. See, you have a foreign company. You have a foreign company. How the subsidy, let's say, your Citibank. Citibank is there. It is a MNC. Or let's better take, we will take the example of Facebook. Foreign company, Facebook is there. So, illi Facebook India anta adra subsidiary ide. Facebook India anta. Yeah. So, they are going to sell various products, ads, so many things. You can also take the example of Amazon, Walmart, all these things. They are going to sell various products. They are going to make profit. So, whatever the taxes that are imposed, that is imposed on the profit. So, what this transfer pricing alli ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. Where taxes are high, low, their profit will be shown high. So, ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Profit is shown less, taxes will be less in India. Foreign countries alli taxes will be high. I mean, taxes will be low. There they will show the profit because anyhow they need not pay. So this, again, products na they will say this product is not sold by us. It is sold by our foreign company. So they are going to transfer the products to foreign entity so that the prices, the taxation will be reduced. This is the concept of transfer pricing. Dadike, we have this advance price agreement and we will discuss what that is. But you just get clear of the concept. Transfer pricing. Next, technology in tax. Technology is there. Now, to file a tax, you just need to fill one page. Earlier, so many pages. Okay, that is technology is imposed. You can file the taxes online. Next, you have the concept of GAR, General Anti-Avoidance Regulation. That is there. Then, that is also a tax reform. I will discuss what is anti-avoidance reforms, regulations. See, it is similar to transfer pricing. To avoid the tax, they are going to use foreign countries where taxes are less. That adana prohibit madada GAAR. So next you have BEPS, the concept of BEPS. Base erosion and profit shifting. Base erosion and profit shifting concept is there. Next you have this income disclosure scheme. Idaitalla. Demonetization. Back then this scheme comes. Income declaration scheme is there. Then you have Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana during demonetization only. And also you have Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. That is also a tax reform. Vivad Se Vishwas scheme alli direct tax, income tax alli there will be lot of disputes. So many cases will be filed in the court against income tax authority. Adanna resolve madake government brings in a scheme called Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. And also indirect tax alli disputes idre adanna resolve madadike the government is bringing a scheme, government has bought a scheme called Sabka Vishwas Legacy Dispute Resolution Scheme. Sabka Vishwas Legacy Dispute Resolution Scheme to deal with the disputes in the indirect taxes. Yes? Okay. Next, direct and indirect tax ratio. So these are the tax reforms. Whatever is there I told, that is what is happening in India. The need, what is the need? Yeah. So direct tax and indirect tax ratio. Direct tax and indirect tax ratio. Direct tax to indirect tax to yen ratio ide. See, indirect tax constitutes 83% of the total tax. Direct tax constitutes only 17%. 17%. Yes, so tax now when we impose, it is called levying of tax. So apart from direct and indirect tax, there are temporary levy. Temporary levy and levying the tax, imposing the tax is called levying. So temporary levy. What are the levies in the direct tax and indirect tax? It is the cess and surcharge. Cess and surcharge. So what is a cess or surcharge? See, government has carbon cess, education cess. Out of the, so this cess and surcharge exclusively goes to central government. It is state government jote share agala. If government imposes a education cess, suppose you go and eat at a hotel, they impose a education cess or carbon cess. You buy a diesel vehicle, they impose a carbon cess. It is the percentage of tax. See, let us say the tax on buying a car is 20%. Upon this 20%, they are going to impose 1% cess. That 1% cess will be exclusively used for environmental causes, to protect the environment. So these cesses and surcharges are both there in indirect tax allu ide, direct tax allu kuda ide. Yes? Okay. See, this direct tax is called progressive tax. Progressive tax. What is progressive tax? Direct tax. See, up to 5 lakh there is no taxation. 5 to 10 lakh there is some 10% or something. 10 to 12.5 there is 15%, something like that. So more the income, I don't know the exact number. So more the income, more the taxation. Above 25 lakh it is 30%. Yes. So more the income, more the taxation. So it is a progressive tax. Your income progresses, your tax also progresses. Whereas indirect tax is a regressive tax. I go and buy a Parle-G biscuit, I also pay the same tax. Ambani also goes and buys a Parle-G biscuit, he also pays the same tax. It is regressive. It is anti-equity. Only there is no equality. Rich person also pays the same tax, poor also pays the same tax. So indirect tax is regressive. Regressive taxation. Yes. So indirect taxation, I told you, indirect taxation is 4 times the direct tax. Indirect tax is 4 times the direct tax. Whereas 2018-19 matra, 18-19 al matra, direct tax becomes more than indirect tax. But otherwise, indirect tax is 4 times the direct tax. So now we will, I have told you, indirect tax al yadu ide, GST is there. GST is there, and also indirect tax ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ 83%. Means one is GST, then indirect tax ಅಲ್ಲಿ after GST there is more compliance. Compliance ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? More and more people are paying taxes. That is why the taxes has increased to the government for indirect tax, and also oil prices have reduced. Oil prices have reduced, that is why indirect taxes have increased. How oil price reduces, indirect tax ಹೇಗೆ increase ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? See, when earlier I told there was administered price mechanism. 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇರೋ ಡೀಸೆಲ್ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಆದ್ರೆ government has to subsidize 50 rupees. Now it is market link. There is no administered mechanism, it is market link. Market ಏನಿದೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ price will get determined. So if the price of the petrol increased, government reduces taxes. So indirect tax government ಗೆ reduce ಆಯ್ತಾ? Government revenue ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅದೇ petrol price will go down, government will increase the taxes. Indirect tax. So prices reduces, indirect tax increases. That is how the concept. Yeah. So where does the rupee comes? Now we will talk about the tax to GDP ratio. Tax to GDP ratio. What is tax to GDP ratio? I told you our GDP in real terms is 140 lakh crore. Out of this 140 lakh crore, how much is the taxation we are getting? ಈ 140 lakh crore ಹಣದಲ್ಲಿ GDP ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟು GDP ರೇಷಿಯೋ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಸೊ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟು GDP ರೇಷಿಯೋ is 11%. In India it is 11%, which means it is approximately 10% is 14 lakh crore. So it is approximately 15 lakh crore. Tax to GDP ratio is 15. So tax is 15 lakh crore in India, 11%. So it is actually a bad number. European Union, the amount of taxation is 40% of the GDP. If the economy is 100 lakh crore, 40 lakh crore just comes from the taxation. Normally taxation is less. That is why. So the tax ratio, I mean the tax to GDP ratio is less. So next you have the concept of tax beyond C. What is tax beyond C? Not fiancé. Tax beyond C. Tax beyond C means if growth increases, tax base will increase. See, earlier there are a lot of poor people. Growth increase, poor will become rich. They will pay taxes. Earlier during poor they were not paying taxes. Now due to growth they are paying taxes. So there is an increase in tax base due to growth. So this concept of increase in tax base due to growth is called tax beyond C. Very, very important. Yeah. So demonetization. Demonetization, just by the act of demonetization, India added 1.26 crore new taxpayers. After demonetization, India added 1.26 crore taxpayers. 1 ಕೋಟಿ 26 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನನ taxpayers na government is added demonetization in. So rupee, where does it come from? Where does it go taxationally? So rupee, where does it come? If 100 paisa of rupee is coming to government ಗೆ 100 paisa ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 20 paisa comes from borrowing. 20 paisa comes from borrowing, sala. Corporate tax ali 18 paisa is coming. So corporate tax is the highest. Corporate tax 18 paisa is coming to the government. Where does rupee goes? Rupee comes. So idri inna divisions ide yavudike corporate tax, direct tax ella. So we just see the first highest and second highest. Important from your exams. Third and fourth are not important. It is difficult to remember. Where does rupee goes? Rupee bandida. Where does it go? Where it is spent? 18 paisa or 20 paisa will go to states. Devolution. As per Finance Commission, this much amount is as to the central resources. 41% of the central resources has to go to what? States. 20 paisa of the rupee goes to states. Whereas interest ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ 18 paisa. ಇಲ್ಲಿ borrow ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ 20 paisa, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ interest 18 paisa we are paying. So this is the thing. Next, number of taxpayers in India. I told you 1% of Indians, 1.3 crore. So number of taxpayers ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? Agricultural is agriculture liable for taxation? Agriculture में tax idya? No, there is no tax on agriculture. But I say the rich farmers have to be taxed, right? Rich farmers has to be taxed. Why should they be exempt? They are earning lakhs and lakhs of rupees. They have to be taxed. Okay. So agricultural tax is less, so the taxpayers is less because agriculture employs the highest number of people in India. Right? So more than 40%. So only tax is not there, that is why. Then even though 6.86 crore people file income tax, 6.86 crore people file income tax in India, IT filed by 6.86 crore people. But does everybody who file income tax pay the taxes? See, there is the concept of filing of income tax and also paying of tax. See, you can file the income tax, even you can file, but you can show zero taxable income. And if you show your income below 5 lakh, you file the income, but if you show it below 5 lakh, it is 0%, no tax. Yeah. So 6.86 crore income na file madidru, the amount of people who pay the taxes is very less, 1.3 crore astenane. Yes. So this is the concept. Next, broadening tax base. Broadening tax base. One is increasing the number of taxpayers, another is increasing the number of goods which are liable for taxation. One is increasing the number of products which are liable for taxation, another is increasing the number of people who pay taxes. Yes, so broader tax base, how it can be done? One is your goods, number of goods has to be increased. That is one thing. And the second thing is imposing new taxes. Imposing new taxes. What are the new taxes? Security transactions tax. Securities, government securities or corporate entity securities. Securities and the bonds, all those things. Those are called securities. You hold it as security for your payment. Adral transaction adre we have to impose tax anta heltare. Then there is a commodity transaction tax. Commodity transaction. Products, what I told yesterday, commodity exchange. There we have to impose tax antare. Then minimum alternate tax, MAT. There are some companies called which pays zero, which shows zero book profits. They are going to design that book, design the account book, so that they will show zero profit. So those companies get minimum alternate tax we have to impose, and also general anti-avoidance rules. General anti-avoidance rules or regulations. Adunna, if we follow, then also we can increase the tax base. Yes? Okay. So this is the concept of increasing the tax base. Okay. So tomorrow what we will do? We will do the tax amnesty scheme. Tax amnesty schemes. So we will end it here today and take up the taxation concept again tomorrow. Okay. So all your doubts you can type it in the comment section, and also you can get in touch to our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum. So please make good use of these concepts. These are very important from your competitive exams perspective. Yes. Also, we believe, Virat Hindustan Sangham believes you are making good use of this program. You can get in touch for any feedback, any doubt clearing, anything. So please take good care of your health and also have a good day. Namaste. Jai Hind.